Michelle Rowan. I'm president and COO of Franchise Business Review, and I am part of IFA's Supplier Forum Board. I've asked 3 of our other members, and I will introduce them, to join us and chat a little bit about what the Supplier Forum Board is. What are we working on? What are we trying to accomplish? So I am the head of a sub-operating group that is the communications team. So I'm here communicating with everybody. And I have asked everybody to join us to share a little bit about why they joined the Supplier Forum Board, and then just talk more about what their operating groups are working on. So I'm going to start with Marcia Mead. She is the president of M Squared Franchise Consulting and is also the first chair, which means she will be leading our committee next year. So Marcia, tell us about the subcommittee or the operating group that you're working on this year, and also why you raised your hand to volunteer and join the Supplier Forum Board.
Ooh, yeah, let's start with that one. Then I'll get into operating groups. So thanks for having us. And I'm so glad we have this opportunity to share with the franchise community more about the Supplier Forum Board. I always like to remind all of our supplier friends that there are only 21 members of the Supplier Forum Board, representing somewhere, I don't have the current number in front of me, but somewhere around 600 supplier members of the IFA. So for all suppliers to think very carefully about, number one, as a supplier member of the IFA, you can apply to be a part of the Supplier Forum Board. All supplier members of the IFA are part of the Supplier Forum. The board of 21 people is your representation. So think of us as like your franchise advisory council up to the IFA. So that you understand what our role is if you're not a part of the board, although we'd love for you to apply. So Supplier Forum Board, the reason I joined, I've been in franchising since I was 25 years old, and I've been a franchisee, spent most of my career working at franchisor home offices, and for the last 5 years, after I started M Squared Franchise Consulting, I became a supplier. So I was very hopeful to bring a quote young, newer supplier energy into the Supplier Forum Board, but also a very well-rounded point of view into the Supplier Forum Board, where I still have to kind of pinch myself sometimes and remind myself that I'm not franchisor, I am supplier. So I have a different approach and a different thought process than I think a lot of suppliers do have. So I was really excited to bring that in. I was very fortunate enough to serve on the Women's Franchise Committee before being a part of the Supplier Forum Board, and I really wanted to be part of a group within IFA where I'm contributing time and energy to protect, promote, enhance franchising, and this role really gives me the opportunity to do so. TLR operating groups. That stands for Thought Leadership Roundtables. And if you're not familiar and you've been to the IFA convention, think of it as the big, massive room of roundtables that's very loud. 100 round tables with 10 to 20 people around them, all franchising people that, of course, don't have inside voices. So the Thought Leadership Roundtables are participant-driven roundtables. Prior to convention, the topics are published so that you have an opportunity to go through and pick. You get to sit at 4 different TLRs as an attendee, and they are led by suppliers, franchisors, and franchisees. Of course, the Supplier Forum Board operating group of the TLRs, we work with the suppliers that will be leading those roundtables. And when we send out calls for topics and calls for facilitators, we're looking for 120 topics and facilitators. And the things that I'm most proud of with the operating group this year is that we are focused on topics number 1. So if you're a supplier submitting, don't just think about submitting topics for thought leadership discussions in your area of expertise, but think about what you've heard your clients asking about even across and outside of your expertise. So submit the best topics and then submit facilitator volunteers is the second step of that process.
Okay, so just to pause right there. So the request is just for just for suppliers to give us their topic ideas, or we're putting a call out to the entire franchise community on what we should talk about at those roundtables?
Great question. So the call for topics to suppliers is for one person on a supplier members team to submit for the organization up to 5 topics. You can only submit 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but up to 5. So please bring all your great ideas because we know you have them. And up to 3 facilitators from that organization. Now, in the end, we'll cull down the topics to the best topics, and we will select 1 facilitator per organization because, again, I said 120, and we know we have more members than that, right? So we'll narrow that down to 1 per organization. And we're just focusing on those supplier facilitators and supplier topics. The franchisee forum and the franchisor forum are focusing on theirs.
Got it. So this is a great session at IFA. It's a great way for suppliers to interact with the people at their table. It is not a selling opportunity. It is a building relationship and networking opportunity. And again, it is an opportunity for 120 different IFA member supplier groups to be in front of 10 to 15 people, and they rotate. They're very high energy. They're an awesome part of the IFA convention. If you've also been a supplier and been like, I'm not going to any of those, it's a great opportunity to meet people in small groups. So that's awesome. And I appreciate that. And awesome. Perfect. So Daniel, I would like to go, and actually before you do that, we did get some stats. And so there's 650 about that supplier members that are members of IFA. And the sad part of that, which now I'll go to Daniel and he can try and rally the troops, is only about 30% of those members show up for the advocacy event that is in the fall that IFA does. So next I'm going to go to Daniel Mormino, SVP at Infinity HR, and your operating group is government relations. So tell us why you decided to join the Supplier Forum Board, and then tell us why suppliers should come to that meeting in DC this fall.
Well, thank you so much. And, I'm so delighted to support our supplier friends. I'll take the first question about why did I volunteer for this? And being in franchising for so many decades, I remember so well being a new supplier, being arguably overwhelmed by so many of the opportunities and different avenues and tracks to create value and capture value in such a dynamic association. And I remember thinking back with some friends that have joined the Supplier Forum to attend as guests to their Supplier Forum Advisory Board meetings. And I remember looking around the guests and looking around the tables when I was going back 10, 20 years, and remembering that the most important seats at that table are not by the table. They are the guests. It is your Supplier Forum. We are a voice to help empower and help inspire and collaborate with the next generation of suppliers. We are here to listen to them. We are here to learn from you. We're here to honor you. This is your Supplier Forum. And I remember that message in some ways, Michelle, resonating with me for when it came my time to volunteer resources and support to engage the next generation to take it from here. The next generation of new suppliers to engage, to be proactive in creating form and function around not just their Supplier Forum, but to find tracks like the Government Relations Operating Group in the Supplier Forum. Do you have a passion for advocacy? There's an opportunity for you there to play a role. And I'm so delighted that I did. And to the second part of your question, for government relations, our operating group has decided to take an approach that's very broad, but not necessarily too detailed, in effort to help empower and engage a diverse cohort of suppliers to be part of not just the Advocacy Summit, but to make sure that their voice is heard throughout franchising, who share in the first component of our IFA mission: protect the franchise business model. And when we do, we're stronger for it. When suppliers protect the franchise business model, we all benefit, we all capitalize from that. There is so much opportunity for new suppliers, Michelle, to lend their voice, their unique perspective to help enrich discussions about regulations, about where we are in this point of history that can affect the franchise business model, the model that we all rely upon to create value, to build our businesses, to strengthen our brands, We all share in that. And as the third proverbial stool of franchising, suppliers, right, that have a proactive commitment to advocacy, to a proactive commitment to that first component, Michelle, protect the franchise business model. They'll be glad that they did. They'll be glad that they attend the Advocacy Summit. This is an opportunity to work not just with C-level executives, founders of brands that you get to work with directly to help enrich discussions together. It is a tremendous opportunity. And we're delighted in the last part of the question, our GR operating group has put together an opportunity to help engage, to help empower that next generation of IFA suppliers. We're proud to release a scholarship that will help support, new suppliers be able to attend advocacy. That sponsorship will help defray the costs of hotel, airfare, and the registration so that they can attend the Advocacy Summit. The new supplier members who win that sponsorship, win that scholarship, will be notified at the end of July. The IFA put together a post on this yesterday on July 22nd regarding strengthening numbers, power in numbers. We're all stronger when we collaborate together. We all benefit when we support each other, when we lend each other's voice and support each other together. And we could create opportunities for greater revenue generating programs for not just our association, but for suppliers to help lend a hand in. So we're really proud of that. If you are a new supplier and you're thinking about advocacy, you haven't registered yet, please take a look at, go onto franchise.org, go onto events, take a look at the scholarship that's provided for you. The only requirement as a new supplier that's put forth by your Supplier Forum Advisory Board, if you win that scholarship, is for you to be one of those guests, one of the most important seats at the table, for you to join your Supplier Forum Advisory Board as a guest, to introduce yourself, where you're from, what your passion is, how the Supplier Forum could help you, how the Supplier Forum could lend a hand to your success, to help us enrich the level of discourse together. I think you'll be glad that you did, and hopefully a wonderful opportunity to create and capture more value for our wonderful association for many years to come. So hopefully those are two good answers to two great questions, Michelle, and I certainly appreciate all your support in helping drive that narrative.
That's great. And I think it's also important to know, so we all meet together in person 3 times a year. And all of our meetings are open to all IFA supplier members. So you can sit and join us and hear more detail around what we're talking about. So those opportunities are at the IFA convention, at the summer board meeting, and at the advocacy meeting in the fall in DC. So if you are attending, please come and join us and come say hi to all of us. And so the next, our last operating group leader, not the least, is Graham Chapman, the visionary partner of Blue Maven Group, along with 100 other things he's working on right now. So Graham, tell us, why did you join Supplier Forum Board, and what is your operating group, and what are you guys working on?
Thank you for having me today, Michelle. Danny and Marcia are hard acts to follow, but I will do my best. I think the reason I pursued being part of the Supplier Forum Board is similar to the rest of us here and everyone that serves on that board, that we're all dedicated to service and doing what we can to help strengthen the franchising model. And in some instances, stand up for all suppliers who are, that proverbial third leg of the stool, as Danny mentioned, that we want to make sure that we have access to wonderful partnerships within franchising, make sure that we have excellent exposure opportunities at all these variety of events that happen, and make sure that if there are any pressing topics that impact suppliers in ways that they may not impact franchisors or franchisees, that we have a strong and equitable and powerful voice to make sure we're represented well throughout the community. Like Danny mentioned, I remember being a new supplier 15 plus years ago. It is overwhelming, and so many people were there to extend a hand and be excellent mentors and guides for me. I want to do the same for others, especially for suppliers who are often really new to this franchising thing. They go to their first IFA annual convention, they talk to 35 people, and they think they're going to triple their business that first year after that first show. And it's just not the case, and that's okay. We exist in a very tight-knit, wonderful franchising community where it takes time to build a reputation, takes time to build trust with those throughout the space. However, if you do that consistently for many years, treating franchisors and franchisees well, doing right by them and doing great work, the word gets out, your reputation builds, and you can really build a sustainable and effective business within this community. And as you do that, I hope that others feel the same calling I did to give back to the business model in this franchising space that's been so good to me. And there's no better way to do that than being active and involved and ever present at events and being part of the Supplier Forum Advisory Board. After you've shown your commitment to being a dedicated and long-term member of the IFA, that you do sponsor and attend and showcase what you do at events, that you have excellent relationships with Zors and Zs, and again, that you've proven and shown to your fellow IFA members that you are dedicated to service. You are, submitting topic ideas to Marcia for the TLRs. You're raising your hand to serve on other committees to add value to the IFA and to help grow this wonderful community. You do that for long enough, and you continue to show up and be present at all these things. You've shown that you have what it takes and that you are a loyal and dedicated servant to franchising, someone who is a great fit for this Supplier Forum Advisory Board. So my group, or my operating group, there is the membership committee. I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and Dominic Mockery, Adam Robinson, and Mike Iannuzzi, some awesome folks who've done an excellent job working with me and working in previous years to communicate the advantages of being an IFA member, trying to emphasize being present for awesome events like the advocacy event that Daniel was talking about. I will tell you, for just one more, nugget for people out there, when I ran a marketing company for many years, we landed a lot of business at the Advocacy Summit. Don't think that just because it's a smaller, more intimate event, it undermines your ability to win new business. So one of our biggest priorities on the membership side this year are identifying underserved or underrepresented categories among suppliers where franchisors and franchisees are eager for a more diverse and larger pool of reputable businesses to partner with. So we've done surveys with both the franchisee and franchisor advisory boards to learn what they're seeking, and we'll be communicating and pushing to try to find new IFA supplier members to make those pools of, IFA members in those categories more diverse. And as we go throughout the year with the crazy, silly season of fall events and conferences heading towards the 2025 convention, our job as the membership committee is try to amplify and showcase the reasons people should attend and be involved and sponsor those events, and then make the IFA annual convention even more productive and useful, especially for newer members.
Awesome. And then I'm, as I said, I'm Michelle, but I work with Deb Vilchis from Fishman PR, Jason Pearl from Service Score, and Leanne Caruso from Hello CMO, and we are the communications operating group. And we really wanted to try and make it more transparent who is on the Supplier Forum board, so that more suppliers would feel comfortable coming and talking with us about how we can better represent them. And my reason for joining was similar to Marcia's, in that I was heavily involved with the Women's Franchise Committee. And there is no harder working committee at IFA than that group. And I wanted to bring that level of energy and that, I don't want to swear on this, but that get stuff done kind of attitude, rather than just talking about it. How can we get more suppliers involved? And how can we really celebrate the suppliers that do show up, that support our community, our franchisor clients, our franchisee clients? That was really important to me. So that's why we have decided this year we just want more visibility into what we do, who we are, so that people feel comfortable coming and being part of this amazing community. And I think what I want to do is just echo everyone here. these are people very dedicated to taking care of their clients, to taking care of franchising. Everyone is very approachable. So I get in this mindset of everybody can seem intimidating if you don't know them. It's not intimidation. Everyone is approachable. Please go up and talk to anyone on the Supplier Forum Board about the work that we're doing. So we just want to celebrate the supplier community and then just help educate our suppliers on you'll see more content coming, but what are great ways to build relationships with franchisors and franchisees? What isn't? What are turnoffs? And just really help suppliers be better at closing business, at taking care of our community. So that's what we're doing. We do have open seats available. We would love for everybody to apply. We will have details on deadlines. And what I will say is, if you don't make it, don't give up. There's only a certain amount of spots available. Show up to our meetings, join us, reach out to us, raise your hand, volunteer. That is the best way for us to get to know you and then to give you another reason to apply the next year. So we recognize you that you want to do service. Don't think it's a one and done. It sometimes takes a couple tries to get on. It's a numbers thing. So we thank everybody for understanding a little bit more about what we do. Thank you to Daniel, Graham, and Marcia for joining me today and talking about all the hard work that you guys are doing. That's
First,
it.
hey, thank you for getting us together, Michelle. You're a rock star.
Yes.
Oh,
And I
thank
want to
you.
make sure that I emphasize a point you just made. It took me many times of being nominated and nominating myself to get on the Supplier Forum Advisory Board after many years of service across many committees. But you made an excellent point there that our board meeting at these three events is not closed. If you're attending the annual convention, the advocacy summit, the summer board meetings, and you want to attend and be part of our meeting, any supplier is welcome. And a great way to get your name sort of closer to the, I guess, top of the billing and get on the board is by consistently showing and taking part and participating in our board meeting. So thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely. Come with ideas, come with solutions. We are here to listen to you. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michelle.